Hey everyone, this is Deborah Anderson, the Black Woman Animator, coming back to you with another video. This video is going to be more about my time working at an animation company in South Korea. I wrote an article about this as well, and it was a follow-up piece to my article that I wrote about how I got my job in South Korea as an animator. Well, not as an animator, as a 3D artist. But this is a video form of the article that I did, so I'm going to answer some of the questions that I received as a follow-up to that first video. So the first question is, was it a culture shock? And for me, I had already been in South Korea for a year because I went to South Korea to teach English, so I already was able to get a hang of what the culture was. So working at the animation company was not a culture shock as far as interacting with Koreans and the Korean culture. The only thing that would be a shock was how different it is to work at a quote-unquote real company in South Korea as opposed to teaching English. In my first video, I told you all how teaching English is kind of a fairy tale land. So working at the animation company was just the real deal. The next question is, what kind of work did you do? So working at the animation company gave me an insight into Asia's part in the whole animation industry. So in California, they, depending on the company, they do the creative, the script writing and stuff for different episodes, and then sometimes the grunt work is done in Asia because you can, like in Asia, they work a lot of hours and there's really no overtime in Korea, at least at my company. And so I was a 3D modeler, and I created the backgrounds, props, and vehicles for the episodes of Family Guy, The Cleveland Show, Batman the Brave and the Bold, and Scooby-Doo. And so that was what I did at the animation company. For a little stint, I actually did teach like English classes because of my experience as a native English teacher, but that was kind of short-lived. But for the most part, I was a 3D artist. Next question is, what was your day like? My day was very grueling. And so I pretty much worked from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and worked 6 days a week. I got 3 vacation days a year. So in that year that I worked at the animation company, my 3 vacation days were used at the end of my contract when one of my sorority sisters came to visit me. And so at the end of my contract, I kind of used the weekend and those 3 days to show her around South Korea. But I got to work at 10 a.m., left work around 10 p.m. On Saturdays, we got to get off work at anywhere from 3 p.m. to 6 p.m. So it wasn't 10 hours on Saturday. And then on the 7th day, Sunday, I rested. And then my kind of routine was, if I start in the nighttime, I would get home, I would download all of my American TV shows, and then while I was sleeping, those things would be downloading, and then I would get up in the morning, convert them so that I could put them on my iPod Touch, and then during my 10-hour workday, I would be watching all my TV shows to kind of keep up with American culture. And at one point, I actually looked up all the movies that came out in 2010, I believe. And then I pretty much watched 200 movies. I would go through the trailers and see which ones I really wanted to watch, and then I would I pretty much watched 200 movies that were created that came out in 2010. And so that was kind of my routine over and over again. Which the 10-hour days wasn't too bad until one of my days went missing. So basically, one day it was Tuesday, and then the next day it was Thursday. And I just was like, where did Wednesday go? I'm dying quicker. Like, if I'm missing days, I'm obviously dying quicker. So it's just that when you work those 10-hour days and come home, you don't have time to just like sit and be like, okay, today was Tuesday. It was pretty much came home, downloaded my stuff, and went to sleep. So there was no relaxation period except on maybe the later part of Saturday and then Sunday. And also because I worked so many hours, I never bought groceries my second year of Korea. It's like they don't have the same pasteurization for milk and stuff like that, so it goes bad quicker because it's more real. And so I ate breakfast, lunch, and dinner at work. And so there was really no point in buying groceries, in addition to the fact that food was so cheap that I can go get some kimbap for like 2 things of kimbap for like maybe $3, and that could be 2 meals on a Sunday. So there was really no reason for me to buy groceries that would possibly end up spoiling. So the next question is, did you speak Korean? No, I did not speak Korean. I'm still working on learning Korean. At the time, I did not speak Korean fluently. While I was in Korea, I did have a pretty good Korean accent, and I could say things very well, but I just couldn't say a lot of things. And so the way I communicated with my director and my supervisor is, in art, it's a little bit easier because if I know the colors, make it bigger, make it smaller, just some basic hand gestures, I was able to get my work done pretty well. Plus, I mean, they gave me the 3/4 view of a model, like of an image, and maybe the front and the side of the image, and then I would just have to recreate it in 3D. So that artistic resource was all I need to really do my job. So I don't really talk to the people at my current job. Just kidding. But yeah, I didn't speak fluent Korean. I don't suggest that if you want to be successful as an animation professional in Korea, but the company I worked for allowed me to not have that ability. So how was it being the only foreigner or black person in your department? I would say that it felt better to be an international token in Korea than it would feel to be like the black token in America, because being a black token in America has so much EU attached to it, and they don't do it right because it's usually a quota system. So being the international token was pretty alright with me, and the reason I was a token is because when they would have companies from America or France or something visit, they would kind of show me off. Like, look at this foreigner we have working here. But it didn't feel as dirty. So other than that, I didn't really have any issues. Coming to Korea, the only thing I really worried about was the drinking culture, because I understand that is a very important part of Korea, and the fact that I do not drink was kind of worrisome. But the combination of me being a foreigner and a woman made it better for me. I mostly got flack from fellow Americans or other foreigners for not drinking, which is life as a teetotaler. But yeah, so being a foreigner, other than not really being able to communicate, I mean, I would use all the Korean phones had English Korean dictionary, so I would try to look up words to say and all this stuff, and try to learn from them as well. It's just that Korean is a level 4 language for an English speaker, so that's the most difficult language to learn because of the grammar, structure, and stuff like that. And I'm a very analytical person, and the grammar hung me up a lot. So I was not able to be as successful in learning it as I would have liked, because I love learning languages. But as I said before, I'm still working on it, so that's cool. And the last question is, why did you leave? So I actually originally planned on working at the animation company for at least 2 years, but Korea just became a bit much for me. One thing was that I missed my family, and so the 2 years that I was in Korea, I was never able to go back home, because when I had the time, I didn't have the money, and when I had the money, I didn't have the time. And so, and then another thing was that as a foreigner, and as a black person, you're always constantly being stared at, which is understandable, but I don't like attention. So people always tell you, oh, just when you're walking down the street, act like you're a supermodel, and that they're like the paparazzi and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't want, that's people who act like models are, they kind of sometimes want attention. So, and that's not me, so that doesn't work with my personality. And I had really long hair at the time, and so when I would wear my hair in twists, I got stared at and stuff like that. But then when I would wear my hair in a big afro, they would point and laugh, and so that was inappropriate. And so I just got tired of being stared at, and so, and it's not my country, so I can leave if I don't like that. So I left. But it was a great experience. I would suggest anyone who has the ability to actually live, not only visit, but live in a foreign country for a period of time, especially as an American, I would really suggest it, because you get perspective on the fact that everybody is not thinking about us all across the world. I feel like, I mean, we know as Americans, we have a very arrogant point of view where, I mean, we are the center of the world, kind of, but to the normal person living in a foreign country, they don't really care about America. So it's cool to learn that. Yeah, so but if you have any other questions, please comment below, and make sure to check out my other videos, my articles, my blog. I answer some other questions about visas and stuff like that. So if you go to BlkWmnAnimator.com/blog, so that's BlkWmnAnimator, you can read some other things about my experience in Korea. I hope this was helpful, and I will see you later.